The Pascagoula UFO case of Charles Hickson and Calvin Parker is regarded as one of the most famous alleged alien abductions in modern history. It all began on the evening of October 11, 1973, when Hickson and Parker decided to go fishing off the west bank of the Pascagoula River along Highway 90 in Mississippi. While fishing, it wasn't long until they noticed a strange zipping sound and saw a brilliant blue oval-shaped object approaching them on the dock. As they watched the craft hover, suddenly, a door opened, and three strange creatures began to glide out of the craft to grab Charles and Calvin. The robot-like creatures took them into the craft and examined them. As they were being examined, the two men were paralyzed and received telepathic messages from the creatures. Perhaps the most surprising thing about this encounter is that Charles and Calvin visited their local sheriff's office that night to explain what they had just experienced. At first, the sheriffs did not believe the two as they told what seemed to be a wild story about being taken aboard a UFO and released by humanoid alien beings. To try to catch them in a lie, the sheriff secretly placed a tape recorder in the room and left them to talk amongst themselves. Much to their surprise, Hickson and Parker continued to talk about the encounter and expressed their perplexed emotions even with no one in the room. In 1973, when this happened, the story gained widespread media attention as it was covered in newspapers all across the United States. Hickson, who was 42, started doing interviews and speaking engagements, while Calvin, who was 18, avoided talking about it at all. In fact, Calvin experienced a nervous breakdown and was hospitalized within 3 weeks of the encounter. Calvin didn't even share the complete story with his wife and family until just a few years ago. The case gained so much attention that a 1973 song by Fleetwood Mac, titled "Hypnotized," was partly inspired by the Pascagoula UFO abduction. The Pascagoula story was even featured in Rolling Stone magazine in 1974 and is perhaps the only UFO case to ever be mentioned on the cover. The 1973 Pascagoula encounter of Charles Hickson and Calvin Parker is one of the most compelling UFO cases of all time.